And I lost them on my computer. I lost them. And so it was right before we were going on, and I was trying to remember what I was supposed to say, and there was this big banner that had my head on it, a huge picture of my head. And I remembered back in 3rd grade, a girl saying I had a big head. So I told a joke about that, and it kept going on and on and on. And so from that point on, I got pretty much known as the big head guy. And I'll meet people out in the hallway, and they'll say, "Your head's not really that big." And I was like, "Hey, it's kind of a joke, you know, you don't have to come out here with tape measures and measure my head." But finally, after a couple of speeches and people saying you did a good job, I finally said, "So let me ask you, what was your biggest takeaway from what I said?" They said, "Oh, you were funny. Yeah, I like that about the big head. That's good." I said, "No, but what was your biggest takeaway that you can take and use that'll help build your business?" And some of them would think, and they say, "Well, I like when you said faith turning into belief." I said, well, that was Tom Alcassin said that. I mean, I like it. In fact, I was with Tom on a basketball trip, and he spoke to me one-on-one for the first time we got to sit down, and he said, "Belief." And I went back to Sue, I said, "We got to have belief." And she said, "Belief in what?" I said, "I don't know. I'm not going to bother the guy about that. I just know we got to get this stuff." And so then later on I asked someone else, I said, "Give me a takeaway and that I gave you that you can use." And they said, "Well, you talked about everything being equal, it would come down to leadership. Leadership with value." I said, "Well, that was JD said that." So this kept going on and on. I was just, "Oh yeah, but you got the big head going for you." You know, unless you're going to go after people's head circumference and like, okay, yeah, talk to you. I don't see I'm helping anybody. So after a while, you get sort of tired of it. You're like, "No, I'm going to take something." So finally I'm talking to some guy, and he goes like, "Aren't you the guy?" They said, it was a young guy. He said, Did you do the roadmap to success?" I said, "That's me, yeah." He said, "So you wrote that?" I said, yeah, sure. And so he said, "We love that thing. We've adopted it. We're doing great with the young people. In fact, we trimmed that thing down to just 4 parts." I said, "Hey, don't screw with the roadmap. Don't be taking my map and shutting it in half. You don't mess with it. You don't take a map of the United States and cut it in half. You can't cut out all those states. So you leave it alone." So, but I'm just kidding. As everybody here knows, Tom Alcassin wrote The Roadmap to Success. Great book. I had really nothing to do with it. I mean, we consulted a few times about it, but other than that, it's all his. I keep forgetting there's some brand new people here. They might write back, "Okay, roadmap." It's all his, trust me. But my background in this business was, I'm from a traditional business you see here on the screen. I own a tanning salon. And when JD asked me to speak here today, he said, "Talk a little bit about the difference between a traditional business and an affiliate business like we have here." And there's a big difference. And one of the opening lines I used to tell people when I started having success in this business is, "I can show you how to build 2 businesses, tanning or Vima. You choose. But the difference is the cost of what it starts to operate." And this is where I started 20 years ago, that resort right there, and this is sort of what it looked like, your typical tanning salon back in those days. And then as it evolved over time, it became a lot nicer, spent a lot more money, updated and so forth. But I wanted you to just pretend for a second that you're in a conference right now, deciding to build a business, and let's just say it's going to be the tanning business, and what your startup cost will be. And you don't have to worry about reading this stuff, I just had it up here for my benefit, but the startup cost, just pretend today you're going to open up a tanning business. Your startup cost, just to open one salon, you're going to pay a franchise fee of $30,000. Your build-out's going to be up to $265,000. Your tanning equipment's going to cost you up to $300,000. Your additional considerations for your grand opening, your advertising materials, your point-of-sale systems, all those kind of things, rent, deposit, $219,000. So your startup cost to open your business today is anywhere from $500,000 to $800,000 to open up one salon, okay? Then you start business. Now imagine you got all this money out there, and now you have your rent, your power, your salaries, hourly wages, insurance, supplies, advertising, it goes on and on. There's literally 1,000 things. And you have all that to spend before you still earned a dime, okay? And 6 years later, you're able to make a profit, because that's what happened for me. And during those 6 years, I held other jobs. I would be away from home 27 out of 30 days selling, working to keep this business afloat. So it'd be like you doing your full-time job to keep your Vima business afloat, because I was having to do other jobs just to keep this thing open. because it was not making any money yet. It took 6 years before I could finally give myself a paycheck. And that's reality. That's real business. Now, 20 years later, the salon does $10 million a year. We have 18 of them. But the overhead is $25,000 a day. So I don't make $10 million. It's $25,000 a day in overhead. And when you have days that it snows, like we've had recently, you're closed, that's $25,000. Your kids are excited because it's a snow day, but you're sitting there thinking, that's $25,000 a day. We're not open. And then all of a sudden it's the second day and the third day, and all of a sudden 4 days you're closed and it's $100,000 you spent, and you're not even open for business. And that can get pretty serious pretty quick. In Vima, the cost of business is $5 a day if you're paying for your product. If you're not, you don't even have that cost, and you can still do your business on a snow day. There's plenty of times when we couldn't go outside but could still do our business through our amazing website and so forth, affiliate operations. So it's pretty nice. Well, when you get the tanning business, first thing you do is you hire a bunch of people, you got a bunch of employees, you're paying them some good wages. Typically in our business, you're making around, with your bonuses, making around $15 an hour. And so you put these people to work, and you're not there, especially not at all 18 locations, so you're just assuming work's being done, we're making a profit, and hopefully we got this video going. I want to show you, this was just happened to look at one of the security cameras of our stores, and we saw this going on during work hours. See if this plays. Okay, it's not going to play, but it was exciting. You would not believe it. I mean, it was banned in 15 countries, but it's pretty good stuff. Literally what it was a couple girls dancing to music, and you can see them always looking out the window to see if any customers are coming in. But they're dancing, carrying on, and typically that's the kind of stuff that goes on. You know, you're paying money for employees that are literally, having a good time sometimes. And you have to wait for people to come in the door. So I said, I'm going to give somebody a takeaway today from this event. What I want them to see as far as the difference between business, traditional business, and what we do as an affiliate in our business is this. The first thing is the why. You know, I know when you look at the roadmap, you look at most training of anything, it says start with your why. And I said, why is that so important? Well, it's because we're all in a comfort zone. Well, when you open a tanning salon and you spend $500,000 that you don't have, you borrowed from everybody, you have just left your comfort zone. Okay, you know what your why is? Your why is survival. You're like, I've got to make this work. If it's a bad day, there is no quit option. And that is the biggest difference between traditional business and what we do. See, in the traditional business where you spend $200,000-300,000 for a subway or whatever it may be, you don't have a quit option. Your quit option is lose your life savings. Have your children in debt. You don't have a quit option. So your number one is, I've got to make this work. I'll do whatever it takes. You have a bad year, you don't close it down. You find a way to turn it around. In our business, for the price of an Xbox and a game, you got a business. Somebody takes that same money, builds a multi-million-dollar business, somebody plays a few games. So if you don't take it any more serious than a game on Xbox, then you treat the business that way, you have the quit option. You can literally quit. I remember first convention I ever went to, we had about 2,800 people there, and Tom spoke and said to all those people and said, you know what, next year we'll have more people. He said, but you know what? A lot of the people in this room here, you won't be here. And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, I'll be here. I mean, why wouldn't anybody be here? We're all excited, we're here, we're committed. But boy, a year later, it held true. And it's the sad fact just right here. We would assume and hope that every single one of you are going to be in Vegas, or every single one of you will be here next year. But we know statistics tell us that a lot will not be. Why? Because they have a quit option. They're not all in yet. They know that worst case comes to worst case, I can just get out. It's the only business I know that you can quit. And people may not know about it for 3 or 4 months because you can quit at any time. Easy to get in, easy to get out, same day. And I've had it happen with people. You get them enrolled, by the end of the day, they're gone. Like, wow, that's a speed record there, buddy. But you take it serious, you treat it like a traditional business, and you're like, there is no quit option. Then you hunker down. Then you start building that why. Then you start finding your reasons why you got to make it work. I think about all the young people. I admire the young people that come up here. Well, envious more than admire, I guess. I'm tired of it a little bit. They're just so relaxed up here. They come up here and they're like, hey, what's up? And I'm up here like, ooh. And, it's just like, how do they do that stuff? How do y'all do that? I don't know. But it's amazing the talent they have, right? And they bring it, and they make everybody up their game. It's like you might be going at this speed, and all of a sudden they come tearing it up, so it motivates you to take it up to another level. But you hear many of them say, I want to retire my mom and dad, And you sit there and say, like, for them, if I was a 21-year-old, 22-year-old kid, and I told the world that I want to retire my mom and dad, then someone asked me on a Wednesday night, instead of having a home event, they asked me to go party. And I said, yeah, I'm going to go party. I need to call mom up and say, hey, you're not retiring this year, okay? Just to let you know, I'm going to push that back a little bit. So keep working, don't be quitting anything. But some of those young people, of course, obviously take it very serious. And they're like, I am going to retire them by this age or by this time and so forth. And so when they're tempted to get away and say, okay, I want to go spend my efforts over here, they're like, no, I made a promise. I said I was going to retire mom and dad. Usually it's mom, dad, maybe. But that's the way it is. You don't see any football players saying, well, thank my dad, love him. Dad is over there like, yeah. Well, the thing about it is when they take that serious, though, that will be their why. That will motivate them to take the next level. And I love it, when they talk about haters and so forth. You don't have haters without somebody doing something to hate, something to make you jealous or envious. So you've got to have that. You've got to be that person and don't care what other people say. I always get nervous coming up here to speak because usually it's after somebody that's done great and I'm like, I feel so inferior. And then today they said, you're going to go on first. I said, well, at least I won't have to worry about it. And good God Almighty. And I'm looking over here at Sue and I say, geez, I said, I'm so nervous. I don't want to follow her. So she said, I know, I wouldn't either. That's who I go for confidence. But the second thing is taking some, serious action steps in your business. Constantly getting the training. It's like with Tom and the Roadmap to Success and the systems we have here in BEMA. It is about just constantly feeding your brain, constantly becoming an expert at something. Because that's what when I first got in this business, I was like a lot of people saying, I just need to find some good people. Instead of worrying about, I just need to be so good that people are looking for me. And I said, why don't I just keep developing my talents and become an expert in this? If this is how I'm going to make my living. If this is it, I want to be the best there is. Instead of hoping somebody give me somebody or I find somebody, I got to sit there and think, if I'm a new person out there and I get a chance to enroll with this person or that person, who would I choose? Well, I would want to be the kind of person and the kind of worker that they would say, I choose you. I know you're going to work hard. And I always tell my team is, if you could enroll somebody tomorrow, would you enroll you? Would you enroll you? Would you be your top draft pick? Like, I want that guy. If I find me somebody that works like I do, I'm set. Or you's like, well, I wouldn't recruit me. I haven't done anything. So I heard Jed Budeline say one time about his school board. Every 7 days, how many people did you enroll? Your team enrolled. And every 28 days, how many people did you rank advance? And the people who don't want to keep score don't want to be held accountable. And you've got to force yourself, if you're a business owner, which you are in this business, you've got to force yourself to be held accountable. You've got to say, I've got to do that. I've got to jump into that role and demand more of myself, pull more out of myself than I think I'm capable of doing. And you use the other people around you, the team that you have, and you see their success, and you play on that success and learn from it and say, keep that pace, what they're doing. They're setting a pace for you, and everybody wins. In my business, the tanning business, during the time when I was struggling, those first 6 years, and now we have 18 locations, that's the positive. 62 tanning salons have closed down in my town. That's the negative, because we're competing head to head. In this business, nobody has to close down. We're creating opportunity every time we enroll somebody. We're making the pie bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the beauty of this business, is you're not in competition with each other. We're creating, that's why I was able to come here to North Carolina and be with these fine folks, and they come to Virginia and join us, is we're all trying to create that pie, in this together, and build a bigger business. It's not a verb, but it'll do. Well, to close this out, in the tanning business, there's 1,000 different roles you can do to run a business. In this, we only have to do one thing. And that is, right here, I'll show you the slide, is be a great promoter. You see, on the right of this screen, you see great heavyweight fighters. These are heavyweights that have spent their life beating the crap out of each other, taking a lot of blows, right? And they made millions and millions of dollars. I mean, literally. A lot of people trade time for money. They traded their head for money. I mean, literally, they got hit and hit and hit. And they did some hitting. You take all those champions, and then you look to the left, and you see a guy there in Don King with the funny hair. That guy there with the funny hair didn't hit anybody. Nobody hit him either. But he made more money than all of those combined. He doesn't even know how to box. You know what he knows what to do? Promote. He's a promoter. We don't have to worry about designing the can. We don't have to worry about the formulations in our drink. We don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We only have to do one thing and do it very well, and that's promote. So when you leave here today, I want you to say, I'm going to be the best promoter. Everything I do, how can I become the expert at promoting? And for those of you who are going to be here, Sunday, when you've got somebody who's making the kind of money that, as BK says, crazy money that Tom's making, and he's going to sit down with you and show you a system that will take you to a six-figure income. I was telling Sue, I said, I think I'm going to stay for that. And Sue said, we have a banquet with about 200 to 300 people coming at 6 o'clock tomorrow night in Virginia Beach. We're the hosts. I said, yeah, that's going to be difficult. I think you can pull it off. But I would encourage everybody to take advantage of something like that. I know back in the day when I was learning, I would spend $5,000 to go to seminars to learn from people who weren't even in my field, but just to think maybe I could pull something out from what they're saying and use it to help my tanning business, because I didn't have a quit option. I had to make it work. And so when you got a chance for someone at no charge to say, hey, I'm the top income earner in this business. Here's what I did, and I'll show you for free. You got to take advantage of that. You'd be insane to even be in this business and not take advantage of that. So I want to close out with a little illustration that I saw someone else did. I didn't originate this, but it really struck home with me, and I've used it a few times, and it's helped me. And can I grab Frank, can you grab that chair there real quick? Just chair up here. This is the illustration I saw one time. It really hit home with me, a good point, and I'm going to see, maybe it'll resonate with you, and you'll think about this sometime. But simply, I want to ask everybody here a few questions. So, and if you'll bear with me here and play along, but if you're sitting here tonight and you speak more than one language, and I don't mean English and redneck, I got that one. If you speak more than one language, if you would, please stand up. Yeah, y'all keep standing. Everybody give those folks a hand. That's pretty impressive that y'all speak 2 languages, It's a big deal, I guess, You speak 2 languages, I only speak 1, but I'm proud of you. Y'all can have a seat. We all seen you. But seriously, hey, you're taking the time to learn a second language. But I believe if I would have invested the time you guys did, I could have learned a second language as well. Just like that wrestler you heard talking last night. He was a good wrestler, but sometimes the opposite of great is not bad, it's good. You get that comfort zone, but he went after and spent thousands of hours on a mat to become great. So these people spent a lot of hours to learn a second language. Well, let me ask you, if you're here today and you played either high school, football, basketball, baseball, or cheerleading, or some sport of that nature, a team sport in high school, if you would, please stand up. Wow. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Okay. Y'all can have a seat. Hey, I guess that's a big deal. Y'all can play sports and you're good. I could have played football, but I wanted to go hang out that summer. I didn't want to do this 2-a-day stuff. Who want to do that? You can sit home and eat oatmeal pies. But some people did. Some people made the commitment and did that. So hats off to you. I guess that's a big deal. But I believe I could have done that as well if I had done what you did. If I had committed the time, the hours when I didn't want to, when I want to sit home and eat sandwiches and eat cookies, if I had been on that field, done the 2-a-days, or did the activities needed to achieve that, I believe I could have done it too, just like you, if I had devoted the time and the effort to do that. But for me, it wasn't a big deal. if you're sitting here today, and you can play a musical instrument like guitar, piano, whatever, you've learned to play a musical instrument, please stand up. Let's give these folks a round of applause. Okay, here again, you've taken the time, hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, to master the guitar, the piano, the oboe, something like that. And whatever it may be, some musical instrument that you've mastered, you've taken the time to do that, okay? But to you folks who play the musical instrument, for you folks that speak a second language or a third language, for you folks that played a sport, to you it's probably no big deal. It's just, hey, Dennis, went out there and did it, committed myself to it, to a time frame, showed up, took action every day, and I achieved it. Okay, last question. If you've earned $1 million or more in VEMA, stand up. That is not from an egotistical standpoint, because I knew nothing about this business. I knew nothing about this business. But when I got in, I made a commitment, just like I saw what the tanning salon did and what commitment I made there. I said, I'm going to take that same commitment, and instead of spending $500,000, I'm going to spend $500. And I'm going to take that same commitment and put it toward this business. But what's even better is, I want to do it part-time, but I'm going to listen to mentors and follow what they do. If they're making what I want to make, I'm just going to listen to them. I'm going to be smart enough, be dumb enough to follow what they say do. And I'm telling you folks, it's no big deal. The people who stood up with musical instruments, it's no big deal. You made a commitment. Football, basketball, it's no big deal. You made a commitment. Language, you made a commitment. The $1 million earners in VEMA, they're no different than you. They just made a commitment. I'm asking you today to take the gloves off, lose the quit option. And if there's one thing you take away from my speech today, besides having a big head, is this: I will no longer have a quit option in this business. I will become an expert at this. I will become an expert promoter. And I'll be damned if I will be sitting in the back row a year from now. I will be walking that stage. It will happen. We were at an event, Bob Proctor event, a few weeks ago. Tom was there. And we had a guy stand up on his chair. He always wanted to win an Oscar. And Bob Proctor said, first of all, you got to do all the work, obviously, but you got to believe it. You got to believe it in yourself before you convince anybody else. And he had a guy stand up, and we would cheer, give him a standing ovation, like it had actually happened, like he'd actually won. Eventually, he had the guy stand on his own chair, and we cheered him on. Finally, he told the guy to give a speech, and we cheered him on. And this was a month ago. A week ago, this guy won an Oscar. It can happen. You believe it. Convince yourself first. Lose the quit option. Take action today. Become an expert. And we'll see you at the top. Thank you very much.